Atlanta is not re-signing Sadiq Bey.
Yeah, I saw that. It
Bring
sucks
him home.
to know we got the money to make a lot of these moves, but we're not in a position to do it. It's not even fun to like.
Bring Sadiq Bey home.
No. He didn't. No.
Bring him home.
I let him shoot threes.
Another
off the
Piston
bench.
goat off the board is Mason Plumlee. He signed somewhere.
You know who
today.
the Pistons did bring home though? Maybe I should wait on this one a little bit.
You should wait on that.
Break here soon.
Because that's going to be our clip. So just do a whole segment on it.
All right. Tobias Harris.
Tim Hardaway Jr. They brought home. We talked
about that one on Friday though. No, the Tobias Harris stuff because we could clip this and you could swing them together. Whatever word you want to use. Swing them together. Tobias Harris. Detroit Pistons did bring back Tobias Harris. Obviously, I don't know if it's obvious, but if you guys tune to the show every day, I was
very
vehemently against this when I thought it cost a certain price. I had somebody reach out to me. I think last weekend. When was that? Yeah, it was last week.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, he's coming. He wants to come here. He's got family here. And no, it's not going to be at that price. He understands like what it is. And that came to fruition.
$4 million less.
Yeah, 2 years, $52 million, $26 million a year, no options, just straight up. That's what it is. I guess I get it. I get it from a basketball standpoint. I always have. I just never didn't like the money part of it because we're in a situation where I just wanted to acquire assets. However, for the vibes, if the vibe's the thing to get a feel, to grow comfortable in this franchise, if you're Kate Cunningham and we want you to stay here, then we got to give you something to work with to at least show you, yourself, or like that you have faith in this coach, this team, this franchise. That's what it was. Now, did it cost more than what I wanted it with? Yes.
Yes.
But whatever. It makes sense. They're definitely going to win a lot more games than 14 now. And Tobias is the guy that consistently stays healthy.
A lot more?
A lot's aggressive.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
A lot's aggressive.
That's aggressive?
A lot more than 14? Can we get up to, is 24 a lot more?
I was going to say, I would put it at
22.
I would put it at 23 and a half is the over-under if I was setting it right now.
Yeah. I'm not even mad. I was going to say 22 and a half. And I would probably set the under to be safe.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. But I listen, now and I think you can now stagger Ivy and Cade. Have Ivy come off the bench. Because Ivy will then have Fontecchio to help him stretch the floor and do what he needs to do to run as the guy.
Yeah, and we'll see. I mean, we talked about, I had all the cousins coming after me on Twitter because I said how much different is Tobias and Tim Hardaway Jr. to Alec Burks and Bojan Bogdanovic, and it's really not that different when you think about it. But for what the Pistons were last year, without those guys, yeah, obviously Tobias Harris is an improvement from what you had on this team last year. Tobias Harris is immediately your second best shooter on this team. You bring him in here, that's just a guy standing in the corner ready to shoot, and that's what you need. So the $26 million a year, that's a little more than I want to pay, but it's nothing I'm going to harp over. You know, I'm not going to be mad over a $4 million difference. So welcome back, Tobias. You know,
you sound so bad. Like,
I mean,
he's undepressed about
no,
this.
it's not like I'm not mad at it. I'm not jumping for Tobias Harris, savior of the Pistons franchise, is here. Like, no, I think you're stupid if that's how you're acting.
No, people should not be acting like that.
I don't think Tobias Harris.
Are people acting
Tobias
like that?
Harris. You go look at the comments on my post. You think Tobias Harris is prime Kawhi Leonard? Like, this guy is not going to help. He's not going to be the difference in the Pistons making the playoffs or not.
The cool thing about this
He's
contract,
going to be the difference in the Pistons not having the worst record in the NBA. That's it.
It also fits the timeline of like where you expect this team to be. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't expect this team to do dick until 2-3 years from now. And I'm not making any commitment to Tobias Harris beyond those 2 years. Precisely. So it's like you can't really bitch too much. You can't really bitch about anything to do within the next. That's half the reason I felt comfortable with the Ron Holland pick. Obviously, this team needs fucking shooting, but we're 2 years away, minimum, from it mattering. Because we're not going anywhere. We're not doing things. You have time to let things, I guess, settle and develop. So that's why I'm not tripping. That's why nobody should be tripping. I do hate that we can no longer take on a Zach LaVine contract now, right? Because there's only $24 million available after the signings of, obviously you brought Tim Hardaway Jr. too. But, I mean, it's still, you're still, I think James Edward put out there, we are the number one team with cap space now. And after other teams that had cap space spent their money, we're now the best option if you did want to facilitate any type of trade. You needed a third team in there. It would be Detroit. So we're going to get something at some point.
We talked about it on BDE. Zach LaVine and 2 first-round picks, I'm doing that in a fucking heartbeat. And
Over Tobias Harris?
If you bring, with Tobias Harris.
We can't afford it now.
Yeah, you can.
No, we can't.
You have
It's only 24.
million.
Yeah, it's only 24. His
Nah,
contract's
they
like
can
40.
make it work. Oh, they'll move some things around.
We do have an extra $8 million in. I forget the term it's used
Exception.
for. An exception that we could go and sign somebody with, or people on our own team. Fontecchio would be a piece of that too, but no, we only have the $24 million to play with
I
now.
mean, you can make it work. You can make it work. You can finagle your way around.
You gotta let that one sail, bro.
What's Zach LaVine at 40?
43.
Yeah. I think
Plus a trade kicker, 15%.
So who are the guys that you'd be trading for? What are the contracts?
So
you'd
I
be
think
taking?
Kool-Aid brought up something on the morning show. He brought up
nobody worth it.
Russell Westbrook.
What are you going to get for Russell Westbrook? He's only on a $5 million deal. They can
Actually,
just
I
buy
wrote a
him
few
out.
names down too.
You're not getting
This
a
is a
first round
guy-
pick for Russell Westbrook.
This is a guy who actually is already in trade rumors already, and I think would, if you want to compete, would help you in that sense too. Harrison Barnes from the Kings. Another name.
DNC.
I don't think it's gonna happen now at the Harkins sign, but Mitchell Robinson would have fucking loved for
Julius
that.
Randle. They wouldn't get rid of Mitchell Robinson.
I don't know if he could fit. I gotta look at Julius.
DNC ENT. We have 24 million. Stu's 18 million is 42. We can afford Levine.
Way to steal my path.
Give me 2 first round picks and Zach Levine, and I'll give you Isaiah Stewart.
So that's the thing. Like Stu would. I mean, that's.
I'd do that. I'd do that in a fucking heartbeat.
And we just signed Tobias, so it's where Stu getting his minutes, and are you really bringing an 18
Right now,
million?
right now, Stewart's your backup center. That's where he is in this roster.
No, I'm happy we brought in Tobias Harris, honestly. I think it's a big move for Cade, just his development in general. We saw what happened last year when we had 0 shooting on the outside. This team could not win games.
Yeah.
And we know Tobias Harris in his career, he's a proven scoring veteran. He gets you some decent rebounding, and he can move the rock a little bit. 3 assists last year. So I think it'll be good for this team just to have a guy that's been there. He's a proven vet in this league, and I think he got a horrible rep in Philly for that playoff performance. So I think, along with JB Bickerstaff, I think he's coming in here with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, and he's returning to Detroit. I mean, he wanted to be here, obviously. So I think that holds a little bit of weight in my book. And he obviously still has a chip on his shoulder.
I don't think you guys in the chat are understanding or are on the same wavelength as me with the Pistons right now. Because Denver Blair says Zach LaVine isn't our savior either. Dad with Tourette's. LaVine is broken. He's a good ad, but he's broken. Ivy needs 32 minutes and 20 plus usage. Stop. I'm not making the trade for Zach LaVine. I'm making the trade for those 2 first round picks.
Yeah.
And you're taking Zach LaVine. The Pistons aren't a good team next year, no matter what. They could get LeBron right now and they maybe make the playoffs. You do that trade so you get 2 first round picks and you use up that cap space. That's what that trade is for. It just so happens that you get Zach LaVine, and if he's healthy, he's the second best player on your team. But you do it for the 2 first round picks.
It also pairs better than Ivy.
Yes.
What are you talking about?
That is true.
Better shooter than Ivy.
38%
Better finisher than
true.
Ivy. He's just a better basketball player than Jaden Ivey at this point in their careers. It is. The only thing you have to concern about is maybe the health in that situation. But Chris, I need you want to talk for a minute. I apologize.
No. The Levine part, just real quick. I think the holdup is Chicago's just unwilling to give up first yet. Like, they're unwilling to accept that that's the market, and even though that is the market,
They
for
were
Zach
offering
LaVine,
1, and nobody was biting.
Yeah. So I don't know if they're gonna step it up to 2, but 2 makes sense, especially if you're throwing in Stewart, because again, we've talked about before, Stu is worth a first. But quickly on Tobias, one thing I do want to mention that I think is important. And I hate that I have to feel like I'm at Harvard Law School to understand the NBA trades nowadays. But this new cap, this new CBA has really just changed a lot of the game. And part of it is that those second apron teams that we've thrown that phrase around. Part of it is that they can no longer aggregate salaries in order to make a trade. So the Pistons having guys like Tim Hardaway at 18 million, Stu at 18 million, and then getting a guy Tobias Harris at 26 million. Teams, the Pistons can, because they're not a second apron team, aggregate salaries to go make big plays. So the Pistons, it actually behooves them to have players in different salary ranges, so that way they can make trades later on for bad contracts in order to get the assets. They're kind of opening themselves up in a sense, even though they are spending their cap space. They're in a sense opening themselves up to more players to potentially be traded, because now it used to be 75% of the money had to be it had to be within 75% to make the deal. Now for second apron teams, it has to be 100, it has to be dollar for dollar, and it's almost impossible to match dollar for dollar contracts these days. So the Pistons have contracts in multiple tiers, multiple numbers. It kind of opens them up long term wise to make trades, and again, Tobias would be an expiring next season, so you never know. It could end up being valuable. That's all I'm gonna say.